his mom is not only an employee, but an employee with a hiring capacity at the Elmwood School.
All
We
right.
don't need any more rain. Thank you.
Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and get started. I think we're still waiting on some folks from Vertex and Perkins Eastman, but there's some stuff we can take care of.
There.
I think, Jeff, I was gonna say we'll just do like meeting minutes and stuff until I didn't, yeah. So, good evening and welcome to the Tuesday, September 19th meeting of the Elementary School Building Committee. I'm going to run through our agenda very quickly. I think I will. Where'd it go? Here. Okay, so we'll have our opportunity for public comment. We'll have some updates on public engagement. We'll approve some meeting minutes. Discuss the MSBA's preliminary feedback on the SD submission, planning for special town meeting, and updates on the public information process. Which will include discussing sponsored public information presentations. We will, Jeff, we're going to cut the geothermal proposal, is that right?
Sorry, I was on mute. Yes, we're going to table that.
Yep, we're going to table the geothermal proposal, but we will vote to initiate the sewer review. So with that, we will go to, first go to public comment. And at the moment, I don't think we have any. She's not here for public comment, I can tell you that. But so we will go ahead and move on to meeting minutes. She's not a registered voter. So we have before us a couple of meeting minutes for approval. The first are the meeting minutes of July 25th, 2023. Are there any questions or comments on those meeting minutes? Okay. Hearing none.
Move the minutes of July 25th, 2023 as written.
Okay, motion by Mike, second by Nancy. I was moving a little quickly, so I did forget to note that we are in a hybrid meeting this evening. So in accordance with open meeting law for virtual attendees, we do have Jagrut Jathal joining us virtually, so we will do this as a roll call vote. So I'll start with Nancy.
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes, sir.
Jagrut?
Yes.
And I am a yes, so it is unanimous 5-0. The next set of meeting minutes that we have are the June 27th, 2023 meeting minutes. Any comments or questions about those? Okay, then I would seek a motion to approve the meeting minutes of June 27th, 2023.
I move the minutes of June 27th, 2023 as written, sir.
Second.
Okay, motion by Mike, second by Bill. Nancy?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes, sir.
Jagrut?
Yes.
And I am a yes, so those are also approved unanimously. Moving on, I'm a little out of order because I'm actually going to save the updates on public engagement because it's relevant for planning for special town meeting, public information process, and the like. So if we could maybe go next to the MSBA preliminary feedback on our SD submission. If we're ready for that.
Sure. I'll handle that. So there's been a lot of back and forth over the past almost 3 weeks now, 2.5 weeks since we submitted the schematic design. They've asked a varied number of questions down to checking the individual square footages that Perkins and their team has had to respond to. They've asked questions related around the STEM program that Dr. Kavanaugh and the Assistant Superintendent Jeff have responded to. They've asked me questions about offsite improvements related to the work that happens on Hayden Row. They've also asked about overall budget questions. And so we've been going back and forth with daily emails between the OPM as the conduit, and then we're ferrying the questions over to the appropriate party and getting it back. We have our meeting scheduled with the MSBA tomorrow to present the budget in terms of what they think the eligible dollars will be for the overall project budget. We met with them today ourselves, myself and Chris, that is, as your OPM representative, to kind of do that negotiation that we had talked about early on, and really trying to push back and understand why and what they've made for determinations. Overall, we have a great outcome of that I want to report back to the committee. So we'll see the numbers tomorrow that I'll send around to you. But the exclusions for consultants and caps were kind of where that we thought they were. The real win is that they did not make the collaborative space, the breakout space, ineligible. Previously, at this pre-schematic phase, that was listed as about 3,000 square feet that would have been deemed ineligible. So we presented conservative numbers to the building committee in August. The other item that they challenged us on was the STEAM rooms, so the science, technology, engineering rooms. We had 3. They agreed with the first 2, and so we really had to justify making the third one eligible. They agreed to that as well. So those were 2 big wins for us. The last item was that they wanted to deem the other project cost as ineligible. It's about $300,000 set aside for that. And so, I demonstrated back that money was there for the project advisory changes in June, which are the fact that they've upped the bar with meeting the sustainability goals. And that's not really known what we'll need to spend in order to do that. So some of that money was earmarked. So they were able to agree that $300,000 would also be deemed eligible. So overall, great news for the day, and we'll have those the results tomorrow. But what it means is that the overall reimbursement rate is going to go up 1.3 million from where we had projected it in the end of August. And so, they did want me to preface that is a draft and still subject to the board review and any, subsequent comments. And so we are still waiting on final comments, but this was their first go at it. And certainly it's higher than the number that we published to the public, to the tune of, I think, about 1.3 million.
Nice.
So a good day for us overall, and the hard work of the committee and the school department and Perkins and Vertex have paid off in this regard.
Absolutely. Any
I apologize
questions?
for the leaf blowers in the background. I hope you guys heard all
No,
of that.
we did. When you're talking about the reimbursement numbers potentially going up, people listen in very closely, so you're okay. Any questions or comments about that?
It's great news.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fabulous.
Absolutely excited.
And I'll just sort of, I might just add one contextual comment, which is that, oftentimes in these projects, and Jeff, you correctly brought up the collaborative effort between the school department, Perkins, and Vertex, but people often comment on the consultants trying to, who seem to try to sell us on all the fancy stuff. And what people need to realize is that hiring great consultants for these, it pays off in real financial ways. This is not straightforward stuff, and in some cases the MSBA is open to debate and discussion over what counts as reimbursable, and Vertex and Perkins really have a lot to do with us getting, being able to maximize that. So thank you, and I hope that the public really recognizes the value that these firms are adding. Okay, so moving right along, we next are talking about the planning for special town meeting. So at the moment, Jeff, I'll kick it to you for kind of your thoughts on this, but just to let everybody know where we are currently. At the beginning of September, the town manager presented the timeline for setting special town meeting to the select board. And the targeted date was November 13th, with the special town election being November 28th. I watched that portion of the meeting. All of the members of the select board seemed generally in favor of that. That being said, for reasons I don't really understand, they are not actually approving and setting that special town meeting date at any of their remaining September meetings. So at the moment, it will not be until October 3rd that we can officially declare that special town meeting is on November 13th. That being said, I have no reason to believe it won't be, but that is kind of the situation where we sit right now with respect to that. So in terms of preparations for special town meeting, Jeff, did you have anything you wanted to specifically talk about here?
No, just was looking for confirmation on the date, John, which you hit on. I mean, with any town meeting, there's always the road to, right? And so if the town feels that waiting until October 3rd still allows them to hit the 13th and all the interim milestones between the warrant committees and all the other checks and balances, then we have no issue. But if we do shift it out, we just need to be aware of that overall.
Yeah, and I have made it clear to the town manager and to the select board that having special town meeting in November, while we have plenty of time beyond that on the MSBA's timeline, that it is critical for us to keep the project on a track that would open, that we would even have a shot of opening at the beginning of the school year of 2027. So I will remain pretty focused with Town Hall and the Select Board to make sure that gets done. We will then begin talking about what are the components that we think need to go in the presentation for town meeting. But I think that in terms of our public outreach, we can say with pretty good confidence that we are looking at November 13th for the town meeting and November 28th for the special town election. Let's do updates on the public information process. So I have been working to schedule meetings with a lot of interest or groups that are and should be interested in learning more about the project. And we've got a lot of dates on the calendar. I know that I've previously shared a kind of a Google sheet that collects all of this information. I'll be putting that out there again because now that we have some of these dates, we're going to be looking for people to sign up and at least have a couple of representatives at each of these meetings. We have a meeting with the Chamber of Commerce on the morning of October 10th. We are meeting with the Hopkinton Moms Group on the evening of, I believe, October 11th. We are also meeting with the Sustainable Green, we're participating in the Sustainable Green Committee's sort of sustainability fair. We will have a table at that on the same October 11th night. And we have a meeting, I knew I was gonna not remember all the dates. We have a meeting with CPAC scheduled for September 26th. So that is actually next Tuesday at 10 a.m. In the library. So that is starting to fill up. We have a group of interested citizens who Tiffany and I met with a couple of weeks ago who are putting together a lot of these meetings. Additionally, Jagroot has been working to organize a meeting for the Legacy Farms community. And Jagroot, I don't know if you want to give some updates on that and the dates and location you're thinking.
Sure. So as John mentioned in the last meeting, John and I have been talking about having a meeting with Legacy Farm residents. And the venue I'm thinking of is Faith Church in Ashland, which is very close to the community. I think the closer we have the meeting to the community, the better chance we'll have better attendance. So I've reached out to Faith Church and I'm targeting two dates, one of two dates, October 17th or October 19th. So October 17th is a Tuesday, October 19th is a Thursday. And sometime between 6:30 and 8, maybe an hour and a half in the evening. So I'd like to know from the Vortex team if you guys are available on those dates, one of those 2 dates, and I can set the meeting up.
Yeah, and I think, Jeff, I think that this bleeds into our conversation about the, you know, what kind of public out information meetings, given the size of Legacy Farms and the amount of people that we can expect. I think this would be one that would be good, that we would want to have somebody from Vertex there to help us. So you don't have to get back to like confirm right now, but I think if you can look at those 2 dates and figure out if that's something Jeff and Chris, Bob, Dan, between all of you that you can cover.
Sure. Which were the dates again, your group?
October 17th and 19th.
Okay. Yeah, either Chris or I will make ourselves available.
Okay. And then before we jump into like sort of general public forums that we want to have, the one area where where I could use some help is I think we would want to do at least 1, maybe 2 meetings at the senior center. Frankly, I'm just out of bandwidth. So if there was anybody who wanted to take, you know, reaching out to the senior center, seeing if we could get something set up, that would be extremely helpful.
I could take that on. I know the school committee is interested in helping with some of these and
Yeah.
working together to help get some of that. So if you want school committee members at some of these meetings, certainly willing to tag along rather than reinvent the wheel.
I think that would be very helpful. Because I suspect that, as we so often discuss, I think that the conversation topics will venture from just Elmwood into what is the sort of the larger plan. And you know, while we might be well versed, we're not the right people to answer those questions.
Right.
So I think it would be good if we could have some coverage for that too.
Great.
So again, I will resend the link now that it's got some dates put in. And I'll put what I'll do is I'll put some cells. I think I already have sort of ESBC reps, like sort of sign up opportunity, and then I'll put a school committee one in there as well. Okay. And so other than that, we are just continuing to try to get as many meetings on the calendar. Again, this group that I have is really connected into a lot of the different organizations that should have interest in this, so they're continuing to work on setting as many of those up as possible. Jeff, do we want to talk then about what we would want to do for ESBC sponsored public information meetings? What is in your experience? So this is basically, the way I think about this is basically like these are forums again, right? Yeah. Hopefully with a greater amount of interest given how fleshed out the solution is and also the proximity to special town meeting. My sense is we should probably target doing 2 of them. And then I don't know if anybody, Jeff, you or others have thoughts on what's the sort of the optimal timing and distance from special town meeting to do these?
Right. So, a couple of points. I frame it more of a presentation than a forum only because the package is essentially assembled, right? And so this is about an information sharing, to the public. There's still time to influence the overall design when we get going at the next phase, but This is really a presentation of the package that's been presented to both the town and the MSBA. We always have to walk the line of presenting the facts as opposed to advocating at this juncture in the project. And so it's a presentation not unsimilar to the 2 forums that we did over the summer where we recapped kind of how we got here. And then, and now we'll just have the final number, size, and scope of the project. And so, Perkins and Vertex will assemble that. Certainly two forums can make sense in terms of presenting that to the public. People tend to pay closer attention the closer it is to town meeting. So I would certainly put the second one probably the week prior, if you're going to do 2, and then the first one could be a month prior. And that way, the first one helps set the table of educating the public, and then they can then in turn educate their friends and connections with the first meeting. And the second one is people that kind of tune in late that want a more robust presentation than you would otherwise get at a special town meeting. These public presentations allow that dialogue and back and forth question and answer that town meetings don't always allow for because of the rules of engagement.
Hey, Jeff, I have a question. What is the length and complexity of the presentation that's typically done at the town meeting?
Depends on your town meeting. So like, it varies, dramatically. Sometimes if it's a special town meeting, then the project is the showpiece. Other towns do it as part of an annual, in which case they're giving 30 minutes. If it's a special town meeting, it could be an hour. But it's not generally more than that, where a public forum, public presentation could be 2 hours in length. Generally, at a special or annual town meeting, it's a 30 to 45 to an hour long presentation. It usually does not go beyond that. And so we're really condensing the history over the past year and a half for the need, how we got here, and the ultimate solution. And that forms the basis of the presentation.
I would suspect that while it is a special town meeting, 30 minutes is probably the best we can hope for in terms
Yeah,
of length.
I would agree.
Just because of the way town meeting is generally run, but also because while it's a special town meeting, it's also pretty clear this is not going to be the only thing on the warrant. So I think that we'll probably be looking, which I think the marathon, I don't think the marathon presentation was even a
quick.
half hour, yeah,
Why did it
so,
not long?
No,
yeah.
it was not. It was short.
Yep.
It was, so saying it might have even been 15 minutes. It
Yeah.
was really the roll up.
Okay. All right, so we can start targeting some dates. I think a
So
week.
if you want to do a month out, it's kind of the same dates that Jagru was looking for the Legacy Farms outreach. And so, could be the week after that.
Yeah.
Maybe to stagger those or the week before, depending on the preference.
I'm thinking maybe we could do something like the week after that and think strategically about the location of it so that it's, I mean, obviously the Legacy Farms presentation will be specific, will be targeted to the Legacy Farms population and will be geographically over there. Maybe we come back west and find something a little bit more in this in that direction so that we hit both.
And if we do the week after, that gives us 2 weeks before the final week, the week before the actual vote. So that's a couple of week window. Then we've got the week of the 6th to do the final one, and the next week is the vote.
It's the vote, yeah.
So
Okay, I think
Might
that
work.
even seems to make sense.
Yeah.
I mean, in some ways, if you do it, I think this is what Jeff's saying, if you do it much earlier than that, you're gonna lose
Yeah.
what you'd build from it. So I just wanna also just reiterate Jeff's point. We do have some, I have been contacted by some citizens who are looking to help with that have a positive bent towards the project, and so are helping, want to get that message out. As a committee, when it comes to sponsored events, we are information providers only, right? So we cannot lobby for, a vote in any direction on this, but we only provide information about the project. Okay, so is that good enough guidance at this stage, Jeff?
Yeah, how do you want to handle setting the date? Because
So,
the next meeting is probably in that time frame.
Yeah, so I'm thinking what we can do is, if it's comfortable for the committee, what I would say is, in our, Thursday check-in meeting, we could talk about the specific dates, but if the committee generally agrees that those are the timeframes we're looking at, and can kind of give the discretion to us to set the specific dates, we can go from there. Does that work?
Yep, that works on my end.
Is everybody comfortable with that?
Sure.
Jagger, you're comfortable with that?
Makes sense.
Yes, I'm okay with that.
Okay. All right, so next up we have, we're going to table the revised geothermal proposal, and so just to be clear, the revised geothermal proposal is for the test well. Reason we're gonna table it is they're still flushing out a couple of things, and we've, quite frankly, have time, because we're not trying to squeeze this in before special town meeting, because we have to wait for the ground to freeze. And so, we just wanna make sure we've got everything figured out when it comes to that. So, we will hold that and Jeff has told me that he doesn't think there's urgency on getting that approved at this point. So next would be the sewer review. Who's talking about that?
I can talk about it, Dan or Chris. So
I
essentially,
can, doesn't matter.
go ahead, Dan.
Essentially, John, what we need is for you guys to vote to authorize us to enter into conversations with the town engineering department about a sewer connection.
Okay. So it's just an authorization vote. There's no money behind this. It's just, so I would need a motion on behalf of to authorize Perkins Eastman on behalf of the ESBC to begin discussions with the town on a sewer connection for the new Elmwood School. Correct?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Correct.
Okay, motion by Mike. Is there a second?
Second,
Second by Nancy. All those in favor will do a roll call vote. Nancy?
yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes, sir.
Jagroot?
Yes.
And I am a yes.
Thanks.
Okay. The last thing I do just want to note on our agenda here, I hopped around a little bit and neglected to say that today I did receive 2 emails from residents. They were both residents along the Hayden Row corridor that will be affected by any mitigating actions that we want to take around traffic. I got them so recently I haven't had a chance to forward them, but I will work on responses in both cases. With that being said, we also kind of owe the residents along there another meeting sometime soon. We obviously haven't had a lot of further discussions around what we're thinking on the traffic piece, but I know they were also concerned about stormwater, so it might be a good idea to think about meeting with them about stormwater concerns and stormwater planning. So that's something that I'll take offline with Jeff and others, Jeff and Chris and others, so we can figure out what the right approach is there. Okay. Is there any other business we need to take care of?
Did you approve the invoices, John, or did I miss that at the beginning?
Oh, you know what? So here's what happened. It's the subject of the section on the agenda, so I missed it. Yeah, the whole point of having this meeting was actually to pay bills, so we should go ahead and do that. Give me 1 second. I just gotta pull up the package.
I've got it, John, if you want.
I think it totals $89,417.72. This is yeah, I got the right one.
Yep.
Okay, so we need to approve a package of invoices tonight. 3 invoices. The first one to Vertex, invoice number OPM-116-17 in the amount of $36,216.50. The second one for Perkins Eastman, invoice number 95420-00.0-12 in the amount of $53,158.45, and one to Local IQ New England for invoice number 5757884 in the amount of $42.77. So again, I'm seeking a motion to approve payment of the 3 invoices in the package totaling $89,417.72.
So moved.
Second, Beth.
Okay, we have a motion by Nancy, a second by Mike. We'll do a roll call vote. Nancy?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes, sir.
Jagroot?
Yes.
And I am a yes. And I apologize. Thank you for catching me, Jeff, because it would have been really unfortunate to have this meeting and then not actually pay the invoices.
And John, is it possible for you
We did vote on
to
it,
sign that
yeah.
and scan it back over me?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'll scan it back over to you tonight or tomorrow morning. Yep.
Thank you.
Okay, so is there any other business?
Do we have a scheduled
That's all
meeting?
we had.
another scheduled meeting.
Do we have another scheduled meeting? We do not have another meeting on the calendar at this point.
Okay.
When should, I'll look to Vertex, Jeff and Chris, when should we think about meeting again as a committee? I mean, we gotta pay bills at some point, but
So probably a month from now, like the middle of October, right before we get into all those public forums, presentations, that may make sense.
okay.
So, 3 weeks from tonight or 4 weeks from tonight.
Yeah, so 4 weeks from tonight would look like the,
Be the 17th,
Yeah,
so
which is potentially.
potentially, the 18th. We'll need till the 12th to get the invoice package together.
so maybe, would the 18th be workable?
Fine.
Okay,
That's the Wednesday?
yeah,
I am not able to do that, but I imagine perhaps Amanda could do it.
okay. So why don't we tentatively say the 18th and we'll check attendance? And then if we have to, we can always adjust.
Yeah, I'm not available, but Chris might be.
Yeah, I believe I'm available that night.
Okay. All right. And I would just say also for the public's benefit, we started earlier than normal tonight and we tried to keep it as an efficient meeting as possible because we needed to do a couple of things like invoices and minutes, but many of our membership needs to attend the select board meeting, which everyone should tune into because it's a discussion of next year's budget message and fiscal planning. So that is why we started early and are trying to wrap as quickly as possible.
That's much appreciated, by the way.
Yes.
Well, with that, I would seek a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Okay, motion by Bill, second by Mike. Nancy?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes, sir.
And Chad Groot?
Yes?
And I am a yes, so we are adjourned at 6:02 PM. Thank you to HCAM. As always, thank you everyone for watching and have a wonderful evening.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.